Okay, I want to go ahead and tackle some of the questions that you guys might be having and some of the stuff that you guys are going to inevitably wonder about. Okay, before we watch this trailer and before I give you the real tough love of this game, okay? So, some of the big questions that people have been asking around is, will this game ever come out? Yes, it is coming out. It got massively delayed. It was supposed to actually come out in February of 2023. Okay? They said, now, don't hold your fucking breath because these guys are CEOs and they'll say what they need to, but it is said March 2025, right? Here we are. It's been delayed and delayed and delayed. It is coming soon. That is what you need to know. It is coming soon. The next question is this a sequel to Bioshock? Absolutely not. Not in any way. And people have also saying, oh, it's like similar to Bioshock. Well, yeah, one of the lead developers on the original Bioshock is the one behind this game. But just so we're clear, not a sequel, and I'll tell you more after we watch the trailer because it's going to break some people's hearts. Now, they're asking, okay, well, will it be open world? Absolutely not. Not this game. This will be completely on rails. And it is just going to be a linear shooter. Okay? It's going to be a linear shooter. Because some people say, so when some people say open world, there are ways to make open world, but also have like a linear shooter. Okay? This is not going to be that. I just want to confirm this. Anyway, these were some of the questions that people were asking, so I figured, why not tackle them instead of just doing some bullshit YouTube video where I just go over a trailer and I go, oh, wow, that's cool, I'm excited. I didn't want to do all that. So, we're going to end up watching this, and then I'm going to give you guys some bad news.
The ship is dying, and my only way out of here is with one of them.
I was sailing to that distant shore. Leave her, Johnny, leave her, as the Mayflower gets to the ocean floor, and it's time for us to leave her, Johnny, leave her, oh, leave her, Johnny, leave her, oh, the Mayflower's dying,
People say I have this coming. And you know what? They're right.
Okay. So that was the trailer. And honestly, that one seemed very mild. It seemed very straightforward. It tried to show you what it was, but it didn't really tell you much. Okay, sure. Now, here's the other trailer. Let's go. Well, there we go.
love. Their fear. Their hate. Were just planted in your brain like weeds in a garden. What would you do to free yourself? We both know the answer to that question. Nothing. You are the frog in a pot, boiling so slowly. You don't even know what's happening. But I'm here to set you free. Whether you like it or not.
Okay, so let's get into the bad. Okay, let's get into the whole man, this is going to be a rough video because I know that there's a lot of people out there who desperately want this to be like a return to the old days, and desperately, and don't get me wrong, the game is clearly copy-paste Bioshock, okay? At the very base level, it is copy-paste Bioshock. Oh, character's got a weird wrist thing. She's doing the fire. It's going to be, oh, look at that. It's the fire. Okay, so the character's going to have fucking powers. It's going to be, think Bioshock, and it's got the graphics of Bioshock, okay? It's got that distinct character style that you see in, like, Bioshock and that We Happy Few, and that it's just that very distinct character look, okay? So it's very copy-paste in the sense that if you liked Bioshock's look, you'll like this look. If you liked all that, you'll like it, okay? But here's the bad news. Some of you may know that I was in game dev, okay? And I know some of the tactics that they're using in this game to sell it right off the bat is they're trying to coin this whole, whether you realize it or not, in that first one, they're trying to do that whole sea shanty bullshit, okay? It was very popular. You know, everyone was singing that fucking Weatherman Come bullshit. But all they're doing is taking that and trying to get a viral trend on it. And I think that's scummy coming from a game dev, because I get what they're trying to do. They're trying to conflate the two things and get people involved in it because they're like, oh, I like the music. Okay, and that is something these companies do. Whether you believe it or not, you've been a victim of it, okay? And there's a big difference, okay? There's a big difference between having an emotional connection with the song and having a connection with the game. They're trying to get you to feel that for their game. It's kind of parasitic. Whereas, if you think about RuneScape and people that like listen to their music or any specific game, think about like when Skyrim came out and you're like, oh man, this is sick. You know, you might have added it to your playlist. That's not a parasitic thing. They came up with that song. They put their love, heart, and, you know, those games that you're thinking about right now that had that music, that had you're not even playing the game anymore, you're still listening to the fucking playlist. Those people put that time and effort into that music, okay? These guys are trying to parasitically put the music in there to catch you, okay? Don't let them do that, okay? It is a tactic because you have an emotional connection with something. They like to hold it in front of you or put it, you know, specifically in your ears and keep you, hooked into it. Now, one of the other things that people are going to hate, I don't know. I don't think this game's going to be that amazing. Okay. But can I say that without people hating me? I don't know. Because here's what people hear. You're not allowed to like it. My opinion on a game is not the same as telling you can't enjoy something. I don't want anyone to ever think that this channel is about telling you what you should and shouldn't do, what you can't and can't do. It is more about an informed opinion. As someone who's a game dev and as someone who just cares passionately about games and movies and stuff, my opinion is this is kind of a weird project. Okay? The game's name is obviously Judas, and they're playing a whole arc about, fixing broken society and stuff. This game is going to it appears to me that this game is going to be a very preachy, very new age, progressive. I don't want to use the term woke. Some people might say woke. I'm not going to say it. I said it, but I'm not going to apply it here. But I am going to say it does look preachy. It does look like it's trying to embroil you in a message instead of just making a fun game to experience and take yourself out of stuff. It wants you to interact with its political messaging. And the political messaging in the game is, the system's broke. We have to rebel. We have to do things. Like, you got to fight. It's broken. You're just hooked into the machine. Okay. It looks fucking preachy. Me personally, that gives me a negative. I'm going to put that in the negative category. I realize that you can have a game that preaches a message and makes a game out of it, and that's totally fine. It's not just that. For me, when I see stuff, especially in the trailer, when I see stuff that they're just not even trying to hide it, it's going to be the lol so random stuff for me, where you just have weird ass scenes of, like, I don't know if I can describe it. I got this bitch spray painting on you. You got weird fucking, like, animatronics fighting you. Like we get it. So random, right? And I'm not trying to judge the game solely based on this stuff, because the game as a whole is going to be different, right? But it is going to be your linear kind of stuff. But I'm saying how they're pushing it is a little weird. Disintegrating starship, an escape plan, mysterious, sounds good on paper, but how they're putting it in this specifically, right? In the context, and then it is basically just the Bioshock experience of, like, your arm has powers and all this other shit. And showing these dramatic scenes. I don't know. For me, I just understand what the links that they have to go to, because they are completely... Here's the problem for me. If you're a game developer, okay, and your entire game relies on the fact that you're trying to emotionally manipulate someone into buying it by saying, giant letters, developers of Bioshock. And then, like, I get it. It's good for PR. It is. But your whole game, the entire game, is banking on the fact that you have nostalgia for Bioshock. If you don't, that is bad for them. That is really bad, because it's almost necessary for you to enjoy this product. And, you know, in a certain way, this Judas game may not be as bad as I'm saying, okay? I'm just going to assume that this is not going to be an amazing game. I'm not saying that it won't be playable and it won't be enjoyable for most people, but just understand, I'm trying to give it the credit that it put out there, right? What it put out there. In both this and that, they had music. In the first one, they tried to do that emotional hook of the catchy stuff, but it's the same. And while that might not be suspicious to most people, I want you to really take into account all the movies that you've seen lately that take your dad rock and put it in the back. You know, the Guardians of the Galaxy and all the Marvel movies and all this stuff. They've been putting these songs in the back to play an emotional manipulation game with the audience. Yeah, you like the music, but what does that have to do with the fucking movie? But you're going to remember those scenes, especially with Guardians of the Galaxy. I would say that was one of the movies that did it the best, the emotional vampire manipulation stuff. But they were good movies, right? James Gunn does a really good job. I'm just saying, when other companies seen how well that works, they like to take advantage of people. But the problem is explaining to just a normal person, when you're sitting there going, oh yeah, damn, there's some music, yeah, check out the music, you know, they've already got you. You're already hooked, okay? And this may not be a valid point to some of you, because you're probably not like really getting what I'm saying here, but I think it's scummy. It's a little weird. I hate seeing companies do it, because I understand what they're doing. They can't rely on the game just being a good game, so they have to resort to certain things. Now, I get that this is the guy that originally made Bioshock, right? You know, and he has the right to make a Bioshock-like game. I'm not saying that. But they're relying so heavily on it, I'm telling you. And that's a huge problem when it comes to a game. That's a big problem. You don't want to only rely on that stuff. And like the wacky characters, and I get it. Bioshock guy, what are you talking about? Bioshock had wacky characters. Absolutely. But in this day and age, wacky characters usually means like 5th grade level dramatic writing that doesn't even make sense in real world context. You know, like, I don't know if a lot of you have really watched some of these like original TV shows that have been coming out from these different networks like Hulu and Netflix and stuff like that. But there has been this steep decline in writing, okay? It really is like the most textbook, like, shitty interactions that don't make any sense. It's like a teenage girl's angry at something, and, like, that's the basis for it. There's never any, like, morally guiding adult, you know? It's just, like, a bunch of tantrums. And it's like, you can't see it my way. You know, like, it's weird to me. Because I don't know if you've ever watched something that had, like, a really deep villain, or, like, a really deep character, or, like, something really that pulled you in. But it definitely wasn't, you know, the movie Mean Girls, for instance, that really pulled you in and had perfect writing and like stuff like that. You know what I mean? And so like when I see some of these like characters like that, it almost makes me like, you know, but we don't know much. We don't know much. We just know that there's wacky characters. There's also random stuff. They're trying to emotionally manipulate you with the Bioshock and the music and the stuff. And it's like, all right, so how's the gameplay? Not great. Honestly. I'm 90% sure that when we go back here and we're looking, okay, when she's hitting this button telling you you're a fucking fraud, you know, that's obviously cutscene. There's your gameplay. Cutscene. Gameplay. No, I get it, but am I excited? Does it look amazing? I don't know. I feel like the time for political edginess is coming to a close. And maybe I would be excited about this if I was like a teenager, where I'm like, yeah, we are frogs. We gotta break the system. Yeah, like maybe. But why don't I just go play a good game though? You know what I mean? Why don't I just go play a game that's not got some bullshit in it? Now the graphics, it's a highlight. I like the graphical style of Bioshock, and I liked the powers. I did. But it is copy and paste. I mean, pretty much the same, in my opinion. I mean, it's just obviously with some technical upgrades, some zhuzh, if you might say. But I mean, how many years ago was that? You know, like, not every game needs to be hyper realistic. Absolutely not. But we're not innovating on graphics. We're not really innovating on music in this. We're not really innovating on story. We're not really innovating on making a game that breaks away from previous works. We're not really innovating on the FPS aspect. You know, it's more of the same. And mind you, again, that's not what this channel is, to tell you what to think. The reality is, people like B-movie horror movies, right? Are they considered bad movies? Yes. But does that mean you can't enjoy them? No, absolutely not. That's why it's called a cult fandom. You know, they have a cult following. It is for you to decide. Now, I am just pointing out some very obvious stuff, but I would just say, hey, think on it. And the game has been delayed a lot, okay? So, I'm just saying, whatever troubles they may have, whatever. But it just seems like they're kind of keeping this shit locked up. You know what I mean? Seems like they're kind of keeping this shit very linear. But either way, look, I reply to all comments. If you have a comment, I will reply to it. If you like this video, you found it informative, give me a subscribe. Especially if you watched all the way through, just go ahead and subscribe. YouTube is going to berate you with my ugly fucking face a multiple of times. And you'll have to resist not watching me in order for it to not do that. That's how YouTube works. But I want to hear what you guys think. I want to hear what other people's opinions are. And I want to know, is this something that looks interesting to you? Do you like this? Is this a good thing? or do you kind of see where I'm at with it? Now, I think that this is going to get like, it's going to be one of those 6 out of 10s for me. 5 to 6 out of 10s for me personally. But I want to know what you guys think. So hit me up, do the things, let me know.